people, we know who they are, we will ticket them as we need to, and we're encouraging them to stop being so frickin' self-indulgent. You're not doing this because you think it's going to change anything. You're not doing this because you're standing up for your rights and you think you'll be able to convince other people to do it. You're doing it because you're getting a thrill out of it. You're doing it because you think, look at me, I'm so cool, I'm speaking out against the man. Well, quit it. Everyone has the right to be an idiot. What you don't have the right to do is put other people at risk. You don't have the right to threaten shopkeepers and threaten the teenagers who work in stores. You don't have the right to expose your children to things that can put their health at risk. So quit it. And if you don't quit it, you're going to get a ticket.
Dictator Nenshi seems to think that the people who are protesting today in front of City Hall are idiots. They somehow are being very self-indulgent, and Dictator Nenshi wants you to quit it. I want to know, are the people actually down here today idiots? Let's go find out.
Sister, we're trying to find out today why exactly people are coming down to these protests despite the fines. Mr. Nenshi has actually called the people that come out to these idiots. Can you share with me a little bit of your educational background and why you're coming?
Well, I have a doctorate in chemistry, and I can analyze data and look at what's real and what's bogus. And this whole thing is all fake with their false cases, which are not really clinical diagnoses of illness. They're just based on a flawed test, like he says. And so we have to stand up, or we'll never have freedom again.
So you have a PhD in chemistry.
Yeah, I'm not a medical doctor. I have a PhD in chemistry.
Okay, so not an idiot, obviously. And
I don't think so.
If we ordinary people, and I mean not medical experts.
I mean, Nenshi's a useful idiot. If you know anything about Stalin or Lenin, they call the communists who supported their cause as a useful idiot. And that's what Nenshi is, a useful idiot, calling us idiots.
yeah, and
Frickin' useful idiot.
freaking, he said that in his video, didn't he? And so I understand you have a granddaughter and you're standing up. Why is it you're coming down here and risking these fines?
Well, it's because of her future. I mean, I want her to have a future like I had. And I often look at her and I actually cry looking at her when I see what's happening. And I want her to have a future like we had. And that's why I'm here.
Thank you very much, sir.
Thank you.
All right, so Paul Hinman, leader of the Wildrose Independence Party, you're taking quite a chance on coming out down here today.
Well, I think our whole society's taken a chance not to come out, and the fact that we have a government and that we have civil leaders that want to shut us down is just incredibly scary. And then on top of that, we have the social media. I'm hearing more and more people being censored, not allowed to get this out. And you can say what you want, but this world is great because of the countries that have practiced and exercised freedom and allowed their people to do what they need to do, how they want to do it. And this shutdown is going to be shown as the greatest scam that we've had in centuries. It's just unbelievable to me, the propaganda that they continue to put out. They refuse to look at the experts around the world, the medicines that are available, the process that should be taking place. And again, their idea is to shut us down, to lock us up in our homes, to tell us we can't go out for Christmas and somehow think that they're protecting us. It's just shameful. It's unacceptable, and we need to let the people know that there is freedom at risk here. And so get out and speak about it, get online, talk to your friends, but don't give in to these individuals.
Well, Mr. Nenshi has made some pretty bold statements. He said that the people that attend these are really just here for the thrill of the protest, and they're idiots. Obviously these are uneducated, idiots who really have no purpose for being here. What do you say to that?
I say, Mr. Nenshi, you go and travel around the world and you show me one place where they don't have freedom and tell me those people are idiots. And you look at the people that have fought and given their lives historically for freedom, and for you to be fearful of of a coronavirus that's been around since man's been around. It's absolutely categorically been statistically proven that 95% of the people will not be affected by this. There's a high risk for those people that are 70 and over, extreme risk for those over 80. That this is ridiculous to be shutting down people, telling children they can't go to school, and instilling this fear with this so-called PCR tests, and oh, how many cases we have when they don't even talk about how many infected. It's shameful, it's wrong, and people like you should go to places like Venezuela, Cuba, North Korea, or somewhere where you think that communism is wonderful and great, where people can't speak out and be free.
So, thank you. That's exactly it. Now, Dr. Moldry just put out a letter, an open letter to Premier Kenney. And in that, he has a long list of data and evidence that says, you know, the lockdowns are more deadly than the virus. And, you know, yet we're the ones that are being told that we've got the science, we've got the data wrong.
You know, the most concerning thing about this is that human nature is such that when you can instill fear, you have two options usually, flight or fight. And the government, by instilling all this fear, is actually ratcheting up the fight amongst the two groups. And it's terrible because, like I say, if you actually look at the scientific research, the documents, the trials, everything out there, they knew back in March that 95% of the people that were getting sick were 70 years and older, and yet they did nothing about it. They had planning for years. You know, our Lieutenant
Colonel Redmond.
Yes, David Redmond. I mean, he spoke out last week. I mean, he used to be the executive director of emergency management here in the province. He says there's supposed to be a plan. They just threw it out. And then the most shameful thing, as he's saying, is that they turned over the plan to medical doctors when they should be worrying about a robust medical system to assist people. They should have been putting up field hospitals if they were really scared, not be shutting us down, shutting the hospitals down, not letting people get treated. It's just unbelievable how the fear has been instilled in the people, and day after day we hear about cases that have been so-called predicted or found on the PCR test, which again in Germany, I think yesterday, a huge lawsuit coming out showing that this is fraudulent. It's just really, really, I don't know how you can even describe it. This is so concerning on how fearful Canadians are being, and then the rhetoric, and again, the anger that's been jacked up towards these good people that are fighting for the freedom of all Canadians, all Albertans, all Calgarians, and that's what's at risk here is our freedom. And it's taken bit by bit, always is, and once it's all gone, it's too late, and then there's usually some extreme measures that needed. So stand up now, speak up now, and get involved now. Say no to the lockdowns.
Thank you. So I think it's important to note that this rally is not about masks, it's not about vaccines, it is about freedom and the freedom to choose. So if you choose to wear a mask, if you choose to have the vaccine, that is your prerogative. And no one here is looking to take that right away from anyone. We'll stand side by side, but we also need to acknowledge the other side of that people have a right to choose not to have a vaccine. One of the things we're seeing now in Ontario is you can choose not to have the vaccine, but, and here's the but, there will be consequences.
Again, the freedoms are taken away. It says, oh, you're free to choose, but after that, you're not free to do. You know, whether you can't come to school, whether you can't go into malls, whether you can't travel, we don't know. But when you say it goes back to freedom, probably the most important thing and what's doing the most damage is the freedom to live and to work and to make a living. And when Premier Kenney has taken that away, I know a lady who just put, a lot of money down, has got a 5-year contract, 4.5 years left on a fitness center. She's going to lose everything. There's just so many people that are losing everything because of the freedom to work and make a living is being stripped away from us, and that's just wrong.
Yeah, it seems really apparent to me that the big box stores, the Walmarts, the Costcos that are making more money than they've ever made, and yet it's the small business owner who takes their own life savings and takes tremendous risk to fulfill their dream, to earn a living. They're the ones that are getting punished by these lockdowns.
No, and again, this really is the essence of fascism, where you have big government and big business that collude and take everything away from the people, and that's why we need to stand up for them. But it's just so heartbreaking to hear how many people are losing their businesses, that they can't work, that they're supposed to go on CERB and get these free handouts, and we're spending millions and billions of dollars when all we need is our freedom to continue to work. And again, like you say, respect those who don't want to come out, but don't tell those who want to go to a gym, those who want to go to a restaurant, or those who want to go to a sports facility or to a game, let our children play. Don't tell them they can't. Those who don't want to are free to stay home, but why do they want to impose that on others who want to just carry on their life and live and enjoy life like we should and could here in Alberta?
Unfortunately, with socialism, it seems that everybody lives to the lowest common denominator. It doesn't elevate everybody to the highest, which seems to be a fallacy amongst the people who think that socialism is a good idea. Unfortunately, it takes the middle class and puts them into the poor class, and it keeps these bureaucrats and these technocrats at the highest levels. They enjoy all the luxuries.
Yeah, it is amazing to me that our kids haven't learned that whether you want to look at Russia, China, Cuba, anywhere, you talk about the 1% and that split between those who have and those who have not. It's the greatest in all the totalitarian countries in the world. That's where the real split is. There is no middle class. There is no working people. And that's why we need to protect it. And it's being destroyed here in Alberta. This idea that these lockdowns are for the safety of the people is just 100% backwards. Redmond's talked about it. The Great Barrington Declarations talked about it. Our Dr. Modry's talked about it. I mean, expert after expert is saying we're doing more damage than the disease with the reactions of government and the shutdowns. And I just couldn't believe that you read the article the other day that in Manitoba, that Costco was fined $5,000 because they sold somebody something that wasn't an essential good. And so this fear and this shutdown, the stranglehold's getting more and more. It's very interesting, where Mr. Redmond says, that we're being confined to our houses, but yet we can't even go buy a new TV. It's just unbelievable to me, and the people need to realize that this rhetoric, this fear-mongering of the media and government is wrong, and they got to get informed. And again, the social media and the censoring is very concerning on trying to track down these ones. But I think the most passionate one, and you and I looked at that, is Dr. Corey, who presented to the U.S. Senate 3 days ago, and the miraculous find of ivermectin, which again we've known for months and months. India actually has some of this states that are giving out to the people free ivermectin, vitamin D, some antibiotics that are given out to the free, and they're having some of the lowest death rates around in a country like India.
Some of the most populated countries with some of the least amount of money, truly the poorest.
Poorest living conditions. They don't have running water. They don't have a lot of those things. And it's, like I say, it's just unbelievable, the total denial of the science for treatments, for how to look after these things. I mean, they poo-pooed corticosteroids for so long. And again, they finally realized, no, we have to do that. And again, the denial is just so long and just emphatic to the end almost. It's wrong.
One of the interesting things that Dr. Corey pointed out was that the doctors didn't actually, they haven't actually gone out to try to look at what we actually have in the inventory, the toolbox. They actually are looking for something new. And he, again, coming back to Nenshi saying that we're idiots. This group that he represented, that he presented to the Senate, 2,000 journals, articles, peer-reviewed. Like, these are not, the sideline, general doctor seeing the occasional...
These are the elite of the elites in the medical world. These are the ones, and again, what he talked about so much and what we missed is the repurpose of drugs. Ivermectin, hydrochloroquine. I mean, these are proven drugs. We know the side effects. And again, he's so disappointed in the CDC, the NIH, the FDA for not having a single task force to look at repurposed drugs and what we could do. And that's been their sole structure, and they've come up with some miraculous stuff. He says this is a miraculous prophylactic, a miraculous cure, and we need to be using it, and yet we're not even allowed to find it here in the province.
Mr. Hinman, you don't come across as an uneducated idiot to me. I'm going...
Well, you know, birds of a feather. We're just all down here, these chickens in the barnyard, looking for some grains, I guess. No, it's all part of the fear-mongering, the silencing, the censorship. I mean, why can't we just have an open, honest discussion about these things? I mean, Dr. Corey begged the Senate, please, don't take me for my word. Look at this. These are going to be peer-reviewed, but it takes too long. Look at this and let people have the freedom to use these drugs.
Thank you for coming down today, and thank you for speaking to us.
Well, it's a pleasure, and I just hope that we can get a stop to this lockdown, because this is about freedom. This is about the lockdowns and all of the other peripheral stuff. Don't let them get you caught up in that and the fear-mongering that we're all going to die. It just isn't what's happening with COVID-19. What's dying is our freedoms, our businesses, our families. We can't get together. They're destroying the social fabric and economic fabric of our province here, and it's wrong. Please, Mr. Kenney, lift the lockdown before Christmas. You can look at the evidence, and you can do this tomorrow. We could change it for Monday. Please look at the stuff, the actual scientific evidence that's been collected and is out there for us to see, and have our health officials share it with Albertans, give them confidence that we are actually okay, and not all the fear-mongering that we're hitting the end of the world. It's terrible.
Thank you. Mr. Paul Hinman, leader of the Wildrose Independence Party of Alberta. Yeah. So you're down here today. I mean, are you down here protesting? Is this a stick it to the man kind of event for you?
No, well, it's more of a wake-up call for, I think, people in general. The contradictions of all this stuff are just so immense that I just don't see how common sense can prevail on all all these restrictions and everything.
Yeah. So you're down here risking a fine. Why would you risk a fine?
Well, I hope they're not going to give us out fines, but you know, I haven't worn a mask since, so none of us have worn a mask anywhere. So we haven't been confronted. Nobody said anything to us once, so I'm not too concerned about that.
Yeah, and so why are you down here? Why is it important for you to be standing up?
We got 2 kids here, and I have relatives on the East Coast, relatives down south in the States. If they can't leave, if we need all these vaccine restrictions and stuff, we've done extensive traveling. If we can't do that, these kids can't do that, they're not going to have the same lives we have. And if people don't start waking up, not for us, for their kids, they're talking about old people in nursing homes. They don't want to be alone. Don't give me that garbage. They don't want to be alone. They don't want this for their children's children. So, I don't know. It's just for them, the kids.
For your children, for your freedom. So, you seem like a pretty educated man. Mr. Nenshi has made some pretty bold statements that, you know, we're all idiots. You know, what's your educational background, your professional career?
I'm actually environment with oil and gas, so I think I have a good grasp on these PCR tests on RNA viruses and immunology and the whole deal. Masks, none of it makes sense. So I like to think I understand everything, but.
So university educated, or?
Yeah.
Not an idiot?
I'd like to think I'm not, but people look at me pretty funky when I go into stores without a mask. It's pretty ridiculous. Yeah, like we're spreading the viruses. I mean, so what they say, massive counts, massive cases, and then so what? The few of us the one family in the store is spreading these cases, and they're looking at us like, oh, well, look at them, they're infecting everybody. The logic, right? This makes no sense.
Thank you for sharing with us today. Thanks for sharing your dad with me for a little bit. So the march has stopped here a little bit, and they've had a little protest at one of the intersections, but I just want to note that we do have the police still cordoning off and following the protesters, making sure that, hi guys, they're waving, making sure that the protesters are safely able to demonstrate. We still do live in a democracy. These police officers are here in support to do what they can. So, you know, the purpose of these is peaceful demonstration. It's about respect. These guys are not our enemies. And if and when challenged by police officers, just keep that in mind. They have families and friends too. And we're going to start walking this way. And just remember that fact, that they're here doing what they can in the best way that they know possible. Thanks. All right, So Freedom Rally, it's cold today. You're risking a fine. Why is it that you're down here?
Because I don't think that the government is doing all that it can to protect people with just locking things down. They seem to have a one-track mind, and they're not willing to even look at other options, nutraceuticals, the PCR test, and how the cycling time, that number of times it cycled. Just too many things to me don't make sense. And taking and locking the city down, the province down, just doesn't seem to make sense to me. It's going to do more harm than good. I'm not in favor of trading lives.
Fantastic. And so Mr. Nenshi happens to think that the people that are attending these protests are idiots. What about your educational background, your professional background?
I'm a maintenance planner. I'm definitely not an idiot. I think he's just an overeducated twit, really. And to be calling down his own citizens, or the citizens of the city, because of it, because we want to express an opinion, I think he's just getting in the way of democracy. I hope we have an election coming up soon, right?
Fantastic. Thank you for talking with us.
Thank you.
So Paul, you've done the march now. You've seen the people. This is a peaceful protest. Is it what you expected?
Well, I would say yes. You hear some of the stuff on the news that, the people are going in, they're running into the different shops and stuff, but no, very peaceful. People understand what this is about. It's about our future. It's about our freedom. And that's what they're chanting and what they want. We just want our freedom. We want the freedom to choose. We want the freedom to work. We want the freedom of assembly. We want freedom of speech. These are all critical things in a prosperous and free society. And these people know it. And you have to be grateful that we have people like this that are willing to come out and to stand up for freedom, because it's like everything in life. Once you've lost something, that's only then when you find out how dear it is, how hard it is to get something back once you've lost it. It's not easily retained, and freedom is one of those most precious gifts that we have. We can't afford to lose it.
So CTV has been advertising 300 people each week. Now, the numbers this week are a little bit smaller. It's a little bit colder, but how many people do you figure are here?
Oh, I am so bad at an estimate, but I would sure think there's 300 people at least. I don't know. What do you think?
There's definitely, I say, more like 1,000.
Okay.
Maybe closer to 1,000. Like I said, maybe a few less than last week, which was, I think Sheila Goodread last week estimated 3,000 people.
Oh, wow.
Here with Rebel News. So
all I know, I wish I could count the number of feet and divide it by 2, and then I'd know.
Well, thank you again.
Well, thank you for coming out again and sharing this so people know what's going on, because this is the vital part. People need to see the truth and to see what's actually happening.
Fantastic. Thank you.